Assalamu alaikum. Peace to all of you. It's my hope that with anything that I say, that maybe all of us up here remembers that we're all human beings here, and we all have a common origin. And I hope that my words remain for you, for your sake, and for a love for you as my fellow human beings. I hope that's why I'm up here. I think my ego can be pretty big sometimes, so I was kind of scared to be up here in front of everybody with this microphone in front of my face. But thankfully, I think I'm more afraid of just talking in front of a bunch of people. So, all right, I'll give it a go. So, I was raised in I guess you could say, agnostic household. Meaning, my parents didn't really have a feeling one way or the other about religion, or maybe even about God. But even as a young kid, I still had this very deep and profound faith. I never went to church. I think I went to Sunday school once when I was like 5, and then never went again. But I still have this deep, profound faith that I prayed like all the time, every night. I remember, terms like Father and Jesus is the Son of God, and things like those sort of things. And I was like, okay, God is God, and Jesus is the Son of God. That's cool. But fast forward a little bit. When I got to middle school and high school, I started to really explore many different religious traditions. I studied Christianity. I studied actually the first one I studied was Islam first, because Islam attracted me initially. This was before I even accepted it. It intrigued me. So in my sophomore year of high school, I went to the library in Little Waupun, Wisconsin, and I got the only copy of the English Quran they had there, and I think I read it, the whole thing, in like 3 days or something. I remember taking notes as I was reading it, like things that really struck a chord with me, things that were really beautiful, I thought. And I remember actually having a conversation with my parents, and I said, I think I want to become a Muslim. And they're like, maybe you shouldn't do that. They're kind of like, worried about, 9/11, small town Wisconsin, like, these football players are Muslim now. It's like, so I held off on it. I still thought it was a very profound book, and started reading some other books when I got to college. I graduated early from high school to come play football for the Badgers, and I think at that time I started to really develop this very solid foundation of atheism, like this almost militant atheism, where like near the end of my high school and going into college, I had me and some of my good friends who would always quote unquote troll religious people in school by just like saying outrageous, like offensive things about their religions and things like this. And the problem was, though, I think, is just that a lot of people in America, a lot of people who reject religion in general, they tend to have this very anthropomorphic or like very simple view of what God is. So I think that's the idea I had. I had this idea that God was this concept of God was this tyrant living in the sky who like decides to send floods here and there, and decides to kill people, and like if you don't do this, you're going to hell and stuff like that. That was what my experience was when I started to delve into the religious traditions and started to delve into, I guess I should also mention that my view of this was shaped by a few atheist thinkers such as Richard Dawkins and Sam Harris, and I think those are the main two new atheists. The new atheist movement was really a big influence on me at that time. But when I got to college, I graduated early from high school. I had a very serious girlfriend at the time, and I left her behind, and I left all my very good friends behind. And it was a struggle to come to school. You're trying to play football at a very high level. When you went going from high school, small town Waupun, to the Badgers, it's like I got killed. Like it was like, I struggled with that. I struggled with school. I struggled not being with my friends. Like just the daily schedule was very tough. And I started to kind of think, what's all this for? Like, what is this about? This is what life is that I have to struggle in my life. It doesn't mean anything. We're this collection of semi-conscious life living on this rock in this vast universe, and we're all going to die, and it doesn't mean a thing. And that was what I thought, and it was a very depressing depressing thought, it's, atheism doesn't, a lot of atheists will claim sometimes, and this is what I certainly claimed a lot of the times, was that, I can get as much spirituality or as much spiritual rapture from looking at like a lake or going and visiting the mountains or something like that. But that was like, yeah, that's true. I experienced those moments too when I was an atheist. But there was always those moments that they came and went, and when those experiences were over, I was left with this very heavy heart. It was like dark, heavy heart that was like something was missing. It was a feeling I couldn't describe. Maybe some of you didn't feel that too. I think a lot of we share a lot of common feelings as human beings, and maybe a lot of us have felt that those sort of feelings that we have, like something missing in our hearts or something. I don't know. That was my experience at least. But so like Colin, I was kind of always interested in like mysticism, Eastern religions. I studied Buddhism. I practiced Buddhism a little bit in college. I studied like moral philosophy, ethics. I read Marcus Aurelius' Meditations, which is a really good book. I really actually recommend it to anybody. It's a very, very interesting book about ethics and like morals and the Stoic, which is the Stoic philosophy, which comes out of Marcus Aurelius' time, a little bit before his time, I believe, about like how one should live their life and how we shouldn't have passions and just kind of accept the way the earth goes and be happy anyway, just kind of treat people right and kind of crush your ego a little bit, and that really appealed to me because I thought, okay, I'm sitting here and I have these feelings that I know I should be right to my fellow human beings, I should be right to the animals and the plants and the earth, but why do I have this feeling? Like, why do I have this feeling to be moral? Why do I need to be nice? Why can't I just like look out for number one and cheat people and lie and like, do all these awful things to people just so I can get rich and I can be successful? Why do we be good? Why are we good to each other? And some people will say, oh, because evolution, and we like, we gotta look out for the tribe, and we gotta survive. But at the same time, I'm just like, why do I have this deep love and like this deep emotional impact for people? It's not this clean cut, like, gotta look out for my tribe, I gotta look out for my fellow people because they're gonna help me survive. It was this like deep sacrificial love that I felt for fellow people and for like animals and the world. So I thought, maybe religion isn't so bad after all. Maybe I should put away these books that say religion is so bad, and maybe I should actually just learn it from an honest, clear cut, with a clean heart, as honest as I can. So I read the Quran about 2 more times, and then I accepted Islam about 3 years ago, around this time period actually. And my initial experiences actually weren't all that wonderful. Like Jamal sort of alluded to, you meet the Muslims first, sometimes it'd be like, you know what, not for me. But thankfully I did read the Quran first, but I still think that some of the actions of the Muslims around me and some of the things I read online on message boards with a lot of very immature, very overzealous, unlearned teenagers saying this, that, and the other is haram, haram, haram everywhere. Which haram is a word that a lot of Muslims know about, and it means like this is, you can't do this as a Muslim, it's unlawful. And I heard that word thrown around like it was like the most popular word in the world sometimes. It's like that was what I heard, and it really upset me, and it upset my loved ones and I thought, because to be a Muslim I gotta be harsh, and I gotta be mean, and I gotta be this. So I ultimately left the religion for a little bit, and I started searching again. And I searched again. Searching Christianity. I really wanted to be a Christian. I was like, please, it's culturally acceptable to someone. I have family members that are, at least I won't be looked at like, wow, you're crazy or something like that. I can be a Christian, I'll be fine. And I looked in the Protestant tradition, I looked in the Catholic tradition, and then I looked in the Greek tradition, and I'm like, all these theologies are so different. Like Greek tradition, for example, Greek Orthodox traditions, is completely different in terms of like original sin and all this sort of stuff. And I was just like, I don't even know what to look for now. And I remember this moment, and this is interesting, and God willing, I'll be ending pretty quickly here. I went to there's a church here at UW. Me and one of my very good friends, we went together to it was a discussion about why there's so many different faith traditions in the world and which one's the right one. And I went seriously trying to find the answer, like which one's the right one, because I want it. I want to know God, and I want that. I want to know truth. It was actually, I think it was the word God, I wanted truth. Truth was what I was after, because I came to a point where I'm like, okay, whatever's true, I'm going to do it. It was resolved in my heart, like, I want it, and I'm going to do whatever it is, no matter what. And I talked, and I remember hearing all these different talks and answers, like, yeah, well, you know, they're all the same thing, and it's like, yeah, you know, kind of like this very PC, like, no, don't step on anybody's toes answer, which, I mean, you know, we're all human beings, every faith tradition has very valuable things within it. Not trying to disparage anybody's faith tradition, and if I have done that, please forgive me. It's certainly not my intention. But I remember saying to the group, I almost blurted out, like, guys, these answers aren't satisfying me. I want to know what's true. I want it. Can you guys just tell me what it is? Like, you're a pastor, you got pastors here, that people that study your religion, what is it? And I got kind of as an answer that was very liberal, like, oh, well, you know, some people want truth, and that's, you know, it's a security blanket. I'm like, okay, whatever, that's not the case. My heart wasn't satisfied, because I came to the conclusion my heart was going to tell me what's right. You all have that in this, I think. Sometimes you go, oh, I'll follow my heart. I was going to follow my heart. And actually, Colin gave me a book that I read, and it was like the springboard that really set things off. I read this book about Islam and about purifying one's heart and like trying to make oneself to be a good human being with good characteristics, while also acknowledging the structure of reality. You know, that human beings aren't the end all. And as I was reading it, I read another book, and I remember as I read that book, it was like an unveiling happened. It was like, for just a brief second, like this light poured into my heart, and I was like, I knew, my heart was just telling me, you have to be a Muslim, you have to. And I knew that I was going to upset a lot of people, because when I was first a Muslim, I thought I had to be harsh, and I was harsh with some people, unfortunately. And I knew it was going to upset people. I knew the risks involved, but I knew if I was going to be a sincere person and follow up my oath, that I was going to follow the truth, that I had to do it, and I did. And I said, I'm a Muslim now, so I did my shahada right then and there again, and I started right where I left off, except hopefully I started off following the way of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, which is love and compassion and goodness. And that's what I was missing the first time around. So thank you so much again for coming. I want to hear that.